So yesterday I was talking with a friend who works in the nonprofit world. And as we're finishing out the year, he went to a place where he was gonna map out his entire 2019, his next year. And as I began to talk with him, he said to me, you know, I'm in an interesting industry, Kary. I'm in the nonprofit world. And you know what? I always hear that first thing, we'd love to work with you, but we just can't afford you. And you know, that's just how it is in this industry. And I said, hold on, stop. I said, that's not true. He said, what do you mean? He said, it's not true that they can't afford you. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I'm not gonna say his name. I said, listen, you and I both know the answer. They can't afford not to hire you. And he stopped and he listened. And he knows what we all know. This isn't profound. This isn't earth-shattering. But we need to be reminded. See, that's what success is. It's not hearing something new many times. It's maybe hearing it for the first time, really hearing it. You see, in the Greek language, there's a word for no. Maybe you've heard me say this before. Maybe you've heard me say this before, but have you really heard it in your heart? You see, in the Greek language, the term no is gnosko, I believe. I took Greek so long ago, I can't remember, but I think that's it. But it deals with, I know that. I've heard that before. But the Hebrew word for no is yada, and it means I know it. In other words, think back to your old days where you've maybe heard the ancient book and it says Adam knew his wife Eve and she conceived. In other words, know in Hebrew is an intimate acquaintance, and it's an intimate familiarity. It's an experiential knowledge. And what my friend didn't realize, what he needed to be reminded about, which is what we all need to be reminded about, is that people buy belief. And what I told my friend is, stop making an agreement with people's unbelief. I said, if you walk in to that nonprofit and they say, well, this sounds great, you're exactly what we need, but we can't afford you, I want you to look them in the eye and say, you know what? You can't afford not to hire me. Now, why did I just pause there? Because that's what you need to do. You don't say it in passing. You don't say it off the cuff. You stare them straight in the eye and you say, you know what? You're right about one thing. You can't afford me. But you know what? You can't afford not to work with me. And what they're going to do is they're actually going to take inventory of your belief. They're going to use all their subconscious senses and they're going to try to pick up a smell of unbelief. Like, does this guy or does this girl or does this woman or does this man or does this senior citizen or teenager, I don't care what age you are, what demographic, they're going to stop and they're going to decide if they believe you. And you need to practice this thing. You know what? You need to practice with yourself. It's not practicing in the mirror. It's practicing on the exercise bike. It's practicing on your commute. It's practicing with your family. It's practicing with your faith. In other words, your believable moments don't happen when you want them to. I tell people all the time, when you prepare for the moment is prepared for you. What you need to say is, am I believable? Do I believe myself? And if you're someone who hits the snooze button of life, guess what? It's going to show. You're not believable. Nor should you have the right to speak to someone in a sales meeting and say, you can't afford not to hire me, because you don't believe you. So where I always start is to ask myself, am I believable? And you know what? There's gaps in my life, there's blind spots every single day. Nobody's perfect. It's not the point. The point is, can you help somebody? Are you closing those gaps? Are you becoming more believable? It's not some magic thing you arrive to. It's not a place you attain. It's a place you maintain every single day, every single thought. This is Kary Oberbrunner, and here's the reason why people can't afford not to hire you. Go make it happen.